That's still a pretty healthy lead. They are going to be difficult to bring back, but to counter that, we do have a lot of firepower behind. We've still got a lot of teams interested in getting involved in the racing, and of course this is one of those sorts of circuits, because we are racing primarily on circuits today. It's one of my favourite circuits out there. It will start to wear these riders down. That was a close call. I think we can put that off as a near miss there. I must admit, to go on a slight tangent, over the last few days there's been a lot of racing that we've had here on GCN Plus, Eurosport. So many pedestrians legging it across the last minute, every single race. I don't know what it is. Maybe there's been a strange shaped moon or something. I don't know, that's had an effect on local residents where there's bike races. Anyway, that always gives us something to talk about. But no, Rob, a good lead. A very
big victory the year before that. There was no race in 2020 because of the pandemic. Primož Roglic won in 2019. Tom Squinch is a winner here. Another podium place for him, by the way, down the years as well. He's not racing today, the man from Lidl-Trek, but Alexandre Geniez won in 2017. Sonny Colbrelli the year before that. We've got a couple of other riders here who've been on the podium previously, Matt. I noticed in my research for this race that Diego Ulissi, well, of course Diego Ulissi's been on the podium, an Italian one-day race. Which race hasn't he been on the podium of? He was second to Colbrelli there in 2016. Saw the victory by Alessandro De Marchi in 2021. Well, Davide Formolo, our winner the other day at the Giro delle Brianze, Coppa Agostoni, he was second to De Marchi, was Formolo.
And what you do for a living is very hard when it could mean that you're out in the cold. And the longer this goes on, and the more teams that fill up their places for 2024, 2025, the harder it is for some of the riders on the margins to possibly race next year. So I think that I'm sure that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but from what I do know, it looks to be extraordinarily complex.
The UCI talking about that. They make it hard for us to explain this sport sometimes.
They do.
Valli Varesine, one of the most interesting midweek races of the whole season. And what a start this we have. Pogačar and Roglic headlining it, but so many more names involved. Hoping to get a good look at the peloton to open a few storylines as we go into the final 95 kilometres here. Storyline so far is that these 8 riders, the ones that got away, I can tell you that we have 12 riders were up the road at some point today. 4 have now been retaken, and it's a 5-minute gap, or 4:58 to be exact, for the 8 riders on your screen. The race is all over the road right now, whether it be in the breakaway or 3 minutes behind in the chasers. Chasers looking at each other. What's left of the peloton isn't far off, and Julian Alaphilippe is giving himself a test.
Yeah, it's too big, this group, Rob. But when you've got in a split like this, and it's when things just start to come back together again, which it looks like they are. It looks like that's Pavel Sivakov just towards the front of the group there. But Alaphilippe eager as ever to try and get something from the back end of this season, but quite often the time to go, and the time when there is a hesitation, there can be a little bit of a hesitation, that little bit of a lull as people reassess, look around, take a breath. That's the time to go again. But he did attack from the front, which always makes it very easy, difficult, should I say, to break the elastic. But one thing you can say about Alaphilippe, despite his slightly inconsistent form this year, is the fact that he has a never say die attitude. And that's really great to see in the mix, attacking, but that group is just a little bit too large.
And Turner left-hand side for Ineos Grenadiers. Pavel Sivakov a little further back. Sivakov, another of the Frenchmen, as we talk about Alaphilippe. Sivakov, a Frenchman who was born...
Once we loop round and head up for this larger circuit that you were talking about, Rob, it's basically... It's the small circuit with another little figure of 8 with another loop on top of it, but it's one lap making 25 k's. They do climb a climb called Morsolo, which is a bit steeper, 1.6 k's, but at 7.8% average. So when they do that, a couple of ascents of that climb. That is a harder one, and the last time, well, the last ascent of that comes 163 k's in, so still 23 k's to go. But there are two. The 2 ascents of that climb, by far the hardest climbing of the day.
Top of the climb reached now by Sivakov, Vlasov and Alaphilippe. Vlasov has managed to get across to the 2 Frenchmen. Healy, the Irishman, has not managed it. just starting to show the odd sign, isn't he, Alaphilippe again, of not quite getting back to his swashbuckling best, but there's a glimpse of form around the corner maybe, and that's a very, very good bit of news for the neutral. .58 Ks to go. 2 long laps, half a short lap.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rob. You know, I think a couple of years ago when he was at his pomp, into year 2, or second winning the World Championships, and the battles he was having with Pogacar, Van Aert, and of course around Nice.
Just under 52 Ks to go. Coming up to the finish line then. 2 long laps about to start now. There's obviously something happening behind, and that something is Jan Tratnik pulling things along with pace. And this is, I imagine now, Jumbo-Visma trying to take control for that eventual Primož Roglič moment that we saw a moment ago. If Jan Tratnik can keep this going, slowly bring it back, stop any attacks, that will make another Primož Roglič special. Highly likely again, won't it?
Exactly, and also when you look at the rider sat on the wheel of Tratnik, it's the pole, isn't it? It's Rafa Majka, and then Diego Ulissi just sat behind. Still there, not too far away, Pavel Sivakov, but the sort of riders that are now assembled at the front, especially the first 3, suggested they're going to try and take things up, make it hard on the climb, but importantly deter any sort of attacks. And to answer your question, yeah, it's reassuming control of the race to try and put a lid on what for the last few laps have been great entertainment but chaotic from a team perspective. So now they've taken it up, knowing that we've got one of the hardest climbs of the day. The
the boy can climb.
Yeah, Calzoni as well, still looking good for Q36.5, only 22 from Brescia. And a lot of faith has been shown in him. He's done well recently, but he's got a contract with the newly formed team of Doug Ryder through to the end of 2026. So clearly a rider that they believe in. He's shown a lot of potential. Had a couple of good results recently as well. 6th in the Coppa Sabatini, 8th in the Memorial Marco Pantani as well. And it's clearly got pretty good legs today. It's 200 metres, so they lose best part of 1,000 feet in elevation over the period of about 7 or 8 K, so it's quite a drop. But they do have to ride up the other side, and that's where this next steep climb will come in pretty short order as well, but still only Mühlberger driving the pace. And really lined out here, 56 seconds is the lead, under a minute for the first time since we've come on here, Rob. But yeah, no hanging around, and Mühlberger's putting right in the gutter as well, so the wind coming from the right-hand side, meaning that if he's over on the other side of the road, they would get a lot of shelter. So Mühlberger doing the business here, looking for a little bit of assistance. I think there'll be plenty of assistance when they hit the climb, that's for sure. I do think that it will be UAE that take things up. That's why we've seen Majka and Ulissi at or near the front. They've got a particular job to do. They wouldn't be there just to sit on the wheel of Mühlberger. They know what's coming up, and they've got a job to do.
Samuele Battistella, former winner of the Veneto Classic. That line at the bottom of the graphic there, reminding our Italian viewers what we were telling you not so long ago, that he was the under-23 world champion. Here's the former Spanish champion, Carlos Rodriguez, and his Ineos Grenadiers team are going to work together now for the first time. Things are changing in this race. This is now anybody's game, and it looks like it's going to be a real contested, selective finale. And Carapaz is now being moved up to the front of affairs on the other side. Here we go.
Yep.
Roglic ready, Pogacar on his wheel.
Yeah, they know what's coming up. Tischmanuk just on the inside there as well. Sparali, there's Enric Mas just on the shoulder, in between, sandwiched between Roglic and Tadej Pogacar. And there's this climb.
On to it for the first time. There'll be 2 ascents of the climb in total. Go back and take on the other climb, the Varesine, the main climb first.
Fan either side, there's a flattish shape to the front, meaning that nobody's going to take it up here. Movistar there, and another big attack.
Alpecin Koenig this time going at the front, and that looked like Uran wanted to follow again. That was the style of Rigobert Uran. And there he is. Trying to get here, try to follow. Sbaragli, the man who, of course, once upon a time was a sprinter and stage winner at the Vuelta a España. His only pro win. But look at Rigoberto Urán. I think he's hitting some form at the end of the season here, the Colombian.
He certainly is, straight over the top there, Osperalli, as we head through to the front. And this trio chipping away and starting to open up a nice little gap here. Of course, Bozzato is now a passenger. Don't blame him. He's had a big day out. Or Calzone, should I say. Bozzato has already been dropped, but he's been brought back now. Around that little move has been snuffed out yet again. But it's forced a little split of about 10 or 12 riders.
The back of that split, one of the riders from Israel Premier Tech. A Jayco Alula rider coming across. And it's Rigoberto Urán for the umpteenth time pushing. He really is in rehearsal mode, isn't he, for the weekend? He's giving it go after go after go. And he's making it a difficult race for his teammate following. It's exactly, I'm sure, what Richard Carapaz wants. Elof van Wilder there at the back as well. O'Connor as Carapaz and Mas are caught by Pogačar. Roglic sitting in fourth wearing the yellow jersey. Again, looks like it could be the style of Zana behind. We'll see if we can get a closer look at the Jayco Alula man. That is indeed Michael Woods. And it is Filippo Zana of Jayco Alula, who's trying his best to make it onto the back here.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? He's having to go very deep there, Rob, to get back on. And look at the distance, look at the gap that these riders have already opened up. Ilan van Wilder, the young Belgian, as you said, decides to go through to keep that momentum. Well, this could be interesting. O'Connor knows that this is a dangerous man too, and decides to attack across the gap.
So Elof van Wilder, fresh off very recently his first professional victory. Tour of Germany, didn't
his legs before getting on the power again for this last little section. He looks around, and at this sort of speed with a 16-second time gap, he won't be able to see the riders behind, and conversely they won't be able to see him as well. But it is only a slender lead. All it needs is for him to fade on this last climb, and some big attacks to come. He could be brought back, but with 3 kilometers to go, or 3.6, it is looking very good. This is an amazing win. I mean, this could be an amazing win, should I say. It hasn't quite happened yet, but there's still no cohesion behind. It's just attacks in ones and twos, everybody looking at each other. And we talked about this race being hard, but also because of the parkour, it's far more open. And anybody willing to try and take and anticipate, as we said before, has a chance. And that is what's ended up, well, that's what ended up being the case now.
Van Wilder is away, 16 seconds, and it's Pogačar trying to defend his title from the front. He has Roglic on the wheel, third wheel is Mas. Pogačar's getting help now from his compatriot Primož Roglic, himself a former winner 4 years ago. Mas has been up here in this race before and is in form. Carapaz, the Olympic champion and current national champion of Ecuador, sits behind, but it's still the 23-year-old Belgian, Elof van Wilder, in the last few months has talked about wanting his own chances, not just being an Evenepoel domestique. Since then, it's all kicked off the bike, hasn't it? Questions around the future of Soudal Quick-Step. The immediate future here could be a trip to the podium for Van Wilder. He's away, they're chasing, they've got a second back. At the minute, they need more.
Yep, they certainly do, especially when the road starts to flatten. Remember, the last kilometre or so, or the last, should I say, 800 metres is flat, and then ever so slightly down here. Now that will tilt in his favour. Carapaz now moves to the front. They're not hanging around here, but they're not fully committed. And the gap has stabilised. Still 15 seconds to go. The other group are out of it. He's on the small ring, giving you an indication that this climb is a hard one, but he's maintaining a lot of momentum here, and he's found another second with 2.5 Ks to go. If he does pull this off, this will be absolutely sensational.
A reminder that the climb tops out with half a kilometre to go. It is then downhill to the finish, as he's on a short rest period here before you can just see it kicking up again. Downhill for the final 400 metres. If he gets there, and he has this gap, it's his. And behind, there's that little bit of hesitation as they try to keep everybody working. Now Rodriguez attacks because the gap goes to 18 seconds. 19. This is his to throw away now.
Yep. He's still looking very good. Just the way he rode, that when he attacked into that steep section, says to me he's got great legs. 20 seconds. Rodriguez on the front. He looks around. Again, he backs off. Roglic just on the wheel, isn't going to come through just yet. 2 Ks to go. This is looking very bright for the young man in front. He took the opportunity. He went at it. 100% committed, and it looks like he's going to pull off a famous victory, and an historic one at that.
Just the attitude of the two different riders in the shots. Van Wilder looks busier, looks like he's moving. This lot, yes, are working, but I think they're starting to look at each other for the podium.
Yep. Unless something strange happens to Van Wilder now with 21 seconds, with only 1,700 meters to go, he's going to pull this one off. Still, the road continues to rise, but there's nothing. We haven't even seen a rider attack here. There was that tentative move from Carlos Rodriguez, but now everybody here is going to be looking at each other for the final 2 steps at the podium. What a coup this is. 23 seconds now, 1,500 meters to go.
Mas was out the back there. You could see him pulling faces. He's right off the back. And the cohesion disappears from the group behind. They ride through, they look together. There's a shake of the head from Van Wilder. It'll be disbelief maybe when he gets there, but he better believe it, because he is on his way to a very big result. Pogačar, Roglic, the rest, none of them today able to compete with Van Wilder. And there it is. There's a look around. That's that. This race is going the way of 23-year-old Ilan Van Wilder, who is a kilometre now from winning his first ever one-day race as a pro bike rider. And what a race. No, it's not World Tour. Yes, it is one of the best start lists you've ever seen. Pogačar's here, as we said. Roglic. There's Carapaz, the Olympic champion, and many more. And talking to the Olympic champ, it's he who makes a move.
Yep, Carapaz goes on the left-hand side, but with 900 meters to go, despite the best efforts of Carapaz, he's not going to bridge that sort of gap here. But Carapaz absolutely flying over the top. Tadej Pogačar is the man trying to bring him back. This is a stinging move by Carapaz.
This is very aggressive from Richard Carapaz. The style we're used to from him. With Van Wilder, it's continuing to ride. He's 700 meters from the line, 300 meters further back on the road. Richard Carapaz goes, he moves. The time gap is reducing, I can tell you. It's not updating on the screen yet, but you're looking at Carapaz flying away there from those he's with.
Carapaz is absolutely on the rivet here. He's opened up a gap. It looks like he's going to be able to secure second place here. 500 meters to go. Where is the finish line? That is what this man is going to be saying to himself now.
Over that little lump he goes, around the corner, 300 meters from the line. And Soudal quick step. Forget the fusion. This is what they do best. If they are to disappear, remember this. What a team, what a history. One-day racing, classics, it's what they're all about. And it's the new man they put on the scene who's done it. The first Belgian since Eddy Merckx to win Valli Varesine. And questions off the bike, answers on the road from a team that have done it throughout their history. Soudal Quickstep take a popular win, and look at the fight for second place. It's Carapaz who does it, and completing the podium will be Alexander Vlasov of... You noted at the time, Matt, that O'Connor just could not do it, could not stick with him. He rode in a different way. Little ring, higher cadence. The rest of them were all on the big ring behind. Certainly worked for him. Once he got away, they never looked like close that they were going to get him.
No. Superb individual win. He's going to remember that one for a very long time, especially when you look at the riders behind him as well. The Olympic champion Primož Roglic there too, and of course Tadej Pogačar.